Beneath the calmest lakes, beyond the sunlit shallows, and deep in the endless black of the sea, ancient things wait. Across the world, water hides more than just depth. It hides monsters. From serpents said to guard the Canadian wilderness, to creatures that haunt tropical reefs, these are the legends that refuse to die. Tonight we dive into the world's darkest waters and meet the cryptids that may still be lurking below. Cryptid number 1. The Loch Ness Monster, Scotland's deep secret. In the cold, mist-shrouded highlands of Scotland, nestled among ancient hills, lies a lake known as Loch Ness, long, narrow, and dark as a bottomless pit. It's a place where the water runs deep and legends run deeper. For centuries, something has been seen moving beneath its surface. Something massive. Something unknown. They call it Nessie. The earliest account of the Loch Ness Monster dates back over 1,400 years. In 565 AD, a biography of St. Columba described a water beast that attacked a swimmer in the River Ness. With a dramatic gesture, the saint supposedly banished the creature back into the depths, a miracle to some. A warning to others. But Nessie didn't vanish. For centuries, the creature was whispered about in local folklore, an elusive giant living in the loch. It wasn't until the 20th century that Nessie became a global sensation. In 1933, a couple claimed to have seen a large animal rolling and diving in the water. Their story sparked worldwide interest. Not long after, the infamous surgeon's photograph emerged. A grainy black and white image showing a long neck rising from the loch's surface. For decades, it was considered proof of Nessie's existence, until it was revealed to be a hoax, a carefully staged photo using a toy submarine and some wire. Still, Nessie's legend was far from dead. In fact, the hoax only made the story more irresistible. Loch Ness is over 22 miles long and nearly 800 feet deep, filled with frigid, murky water. Visibility is poor. Sound is muffled. The loch could easily conceal something enormous, something ancient. Some believe Nessie may be a plesiosaur, a marine reptile from the Jurassic period that somehow survived extinction, hidden away for millions of years. Modern sonar scans have shown unexplained underwater shapes. Divers report strange echoes and dark movements in the depths. Locals speak of low vibrations in the water, as if something enormous is swimming below. Skeptics suggest Nessie could be a misidentified sturgeon, waves caused by boats, or logs stirred up by the loch's natural undercurrents. But others believe it's something else. A cryptid. A relic. A shadow from Earth's forgotten past. Whether Nessie is real or not, the monster has taken on a life of its own. Tourists from all over the world visit Loch Ness, hoping for a glimpse of that legendary head cresting the water. They wait by the shore with binoculars and cameras. They take boat tours. Some claim to feel watched. A ripple across the surface can be enough to send chills up the spine. Maybe Nessie is a symbol of our fear of the unknown. Or maybe, just maybe, she's really down there, waiting. Cryptid number 3. The Lusca, the tentacled terror of the Bahamas. In the clear turquoise waters of the Bahamas, where blue holes puncture the seafloor like massive underwater sinkholes, an ancient terror is said to lurk. Known as the Lusca, this creature is described as a horrifying hybrid, part giant octopus, part shark. stretching as long as 75 feet, with massive tentacles and a predatory nature beyond any known sea creature. Local fishermen and divers warn travelers to avoid these blue holes after dark. Tales tell of massive tentacles bursting from the depths, dragging entire boats and swimmers beneath the waves. Some survivors speak of being pulled underwater by a force so powerful it feels like the ocean itself is alive and angry. Scientific explanations often attribute Luska sightings to giant squid or shark attacks, but the size and behavior described exceed known species. The blue holes themselves are notoriously dangerous, with strong currents and cave systems stretching deep into darkness, making search and rescue nearly impossible. Those who've dared to explore report eerie stillness before attacks, the water going unnaturally calm, as if the sea is holding its breath. Then, with terrifying speed, the Luska strikes, dragging victims into the abyssal labyrinth below, never to be seen again. Cryptid number 4. Issy, Japan's lake monster. Deep within the mountainous landscapes of Japan lies Lake Ikeda, home to a mysterious creature called Issy. Sightings of Issy date back centuries, with witnesses describing a long-necked, serpent-like monster, sometimes glimpsed with a shadowy, sinuous body moving beneath the lake's surface. In the 1970s, a surge of modern sightings brought Issy to national attention. Fishermen reported large wakes and unexplained disturbances in the water, and several video recordings captured large, moving shapes beneath the waves. Despite investigations, no concrete evidence was ever obtained. Theories range from misidentified eel swarms to surviving plesiosaurs, but local folklore insists Issy is a guardian spirit of the lake, mysterious and elusive, commanding respect and fear. The creature's eerie presence has inspired tales of people vanishing or being cursed after disrespecting the lake. Cryptid number 5. The Bunyip, Australia's swamp monster. In the billabongs and swamps of Australia's outback, Aboriginal folklore speaks of the Bunyip, a monstrous water-dwelling beast feared for centuries. Descriptions vary. Some say it has a dog-like face, others a horse's tail, or even scales and flippers. But all agree on one thing: it's deadly. Bunyip sightings typically occur near murky swamps or rivers, where the creature is said to lurk beneath the surface, dragging unsuspecting prey into watery graves. Early European settlers recorded stories of eerie screams and mysterious disappearances linked to the creature. Scientists suggest the Bunyip legend could be inspired by large seals or extinct marsupials, but the persistent fear and consistent descriptions across Aboriginal cultures suggest a deeper mystery, perhaps an unknown species lurking in Australia's remote wetlands. Cryptid number 6. The Lake Tianqi monster, the heavenly beast. Nestled on the China-North Korea border is Lake Tianqi, a volcanic crater lake steeped in mystery. Local villagers tell of a huge serpent-like creature residing beneath its cold, deep waters. The beast reportedly has a long neck and dark, scaled skin, surfacing to glance at boats before slipping away. An eyewitness account from 1903 describes a boat nearly capsized by a massive, undulating shape. Expeditions have failed to confirm the creature's existence, but its legend endures. Some speculate it could be a surviving giant salamander, or an unknown prehistoric creature, hidden by the lake's icy depths and volcanic origins. Its elusive nature only fuels its mystery. Cryptid number 7. The Brosno Dragon, Russia's dark lake guardian. In the icy depths of Russia's Lake Brosno, locals whisper about the Brosno dragon, a serpentine creature resembling a dragon or giant serpent. Sightings report humps breaking the water's surface, accompanied by strange noises and glowing lights in the sky. In 1935, residents heard terrifying roars and witnessed unexplained disturbances. Some say the creature is a protector spirit. Others fear it's a deadly predator lurking beneath the cold waves. The lake is said to swallow people and boats alike, leaving behind only eerie silence. Cryptid number 8. The Ninjan, the Antarctic phantom. Far to the south, in the icy, desolate waters surrounding Antarctica, sailors and researchers have whispered of a creature so strange it seems almost otherworldly: the Ninjan. Meaning human in Japanese, the Ningen is described as a gigantic humanoid figure, often reported to be between 20 to 30 meters long, with pale, almost translucent skin. According to sightings, the Ningen resembles a human-like sea monster, sometimes said to have arms and legs, other times appearing as a mermaid-like figure with fins. It has been spotted surfacing briefly before slipping back into the freezing depths, leaving only mysterious ripples and an unsettling silence. Despite the sparse evidence, the Ningen captures imaginations because it blurs the line between marine cryptid and alien entity. Some speculate it's a deep-sea whale or giant squid variant, while others fear it might be a creature evolved in the extreme conditions of the Southern Ocean, far from human eyes. Its elusiveness and eerie humanoid shape make the Ningen one of the most unsettling cryptids, something that challenges our understanding of life beneath the waves. Cryptid number 9, the water panther, Mishipishu, the Great Lakes spirit. Among the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region, the water panther, known as Mishipishu, is a powerful, fearsome spirit said to inhabit lakes and rivers. Described as a massive feline-like creature with scales, horns, and a long spiked tail, Mishipishu is more than just an animal. It's a guardian of water, a force of nature feared for its wrath and protective nature. Stories say Mishipishu controls the waters, causing storms and dangerous currents when angered. It has been blamed for drownings and strange phenomena on the lakes, its roar echoing across the water in stormy nights. The water panther is often depicted in indigenous art as a hybrid of panther and serpent, embodying both the grace of a predator and the mystery of the depths. It is both revered and feared, a reminder that the lakes hold power beyond human control. Cryptid number 10, the devil whale, the ocean's abyssal terror. Ancient mariners' tales from various cultures speak of the devil whale, an enormous, monstrous, whale-like beast that dwarfs any known marine creature. Said to be so large it can swallow ships whole. The devil whale is often described with multiple eyes, rows of razor-sharp teeth, and a spiked tail capable of sinking vessels. In some legends, it is a cursed creature, bound to roam the ocean for eternity as punishment for its monstrous appetite. Sailors tell stories of waters boiling and skies darkening when the devil whale surfaces, a harbinger of doom and disaster. Though no scientific evidence supports its existence, the legend of the devil whale taps into primal fears of the unknown lurking in the vast, uncharted ocean depths. Cryptid number 11, the Kelpie, Scotland's malevolent water spirit. From the misty lochs and rivers of Scotland comes the chilling legend of the Kelpie, a shape-shifting water spirit often taking the form of a black horse with dripping mane. The Kelpie lures unsuspecting victims, especially children, to ride on its back before plunging into the water, drowning them. Stories say the Kelpie can appear as a beautiful human to trick victims, making its danger all the more terrifying. It embodies the lethal allure of water, a reminder that beneath beauty can lurk death. The Kelpie has appeared in Scottish folklore for centuries, inspiring fear and caution for those venturing near waterways, especially at night. Cryptid number 12, the Cadborosaurus, the sea serpent of the Pacific Northwest. Off the coast of British Columbia and Alaska, the Cadborosaurus, known colloquially as Caddy, is a serpentine sea creature that has been spotted by fishermen and sailors for over a century. Described as a long, slender serpent with a horse-like head and humps breaking the water's surface, Caddy's elusive nature has made it a staple of Pacific Northwest cryptid lore. Sightings often describe it diving and resurfacing gracefully, leaving wakes far larger than any known sea snake or eel. Some reports include observations of mysterious carcasses washed ashore, attributed to the creature. Skeptics argue that Caddy could be a giant eel or a misidentified whale, but believers point to the consistency of sightings and the creature's unique descriptions as proof it remains hidden in the coastal waters. Cryptid number 13, the Mokele Mbembe, the Congo River monster. Deep in the impenetrable jungles of the Congo Basin, along the winding waters of the Congo River and its tributaries, locals have whispered for generations about a creature known as Mokele Mbembe, translated roughly as one who stops the flow of rivers. This elusive beast is described as a large, long-necked dinosaur-like creature, bearing a striking resemblance to a sauropod, a giant herbivorous dinosaur thought extinct for millions of years. Eyewitnesses, including indigenous tribes and a few Western explorers, have described it as a massive, slow-moving animal that surfaces occasionally to breathe, leaving huge wakes in the water. The creature is said to be peaceful but fiercely territorial, and locals tell stories of its massive tail knocking down trees and creating whirlpools when it moves through the water. Over the past century, various expeditions have sought evidence of Mokele Mbembe, often returning with tantalizing clues, giant footprints, strange sounds, and anecdotal reports, though no definitive proof has emerged. Some scientists suggest it might be a surviving population of large prehistoric reptiles, while others argue the sightings are misidentifications of known animals like elephants or hippos. The dense jungle and the river's murky waters make the perfect hiding place for a creature lost to time, fueling endless fascination and fear. Cryptid number 14, the Nahuelito, Argentina's lake monster. Patagonia's Lake Nahuel Huapi, nestled within Argentina's vast wilderness, has its own mysterious creature, the Nahuelito. Reported since the early 20th century, this aquatic cryptid is described as a large serpentine animal with a long neck and dark, scaly skin. Sightings often tell of a creature several meters long, occasionally spotted near boats or along the shoreline. Fishermen and locals recount strange waves, sudden capsizes, and unexplainable disappearances tied to Nahuelito's presence. Some speculate that the Nahuelito could be a plesiosaur relic, while others believe it's a large unknown species of fish or amphibian. The creature has become part of local folklore, inspiring fear and fascination alike, and has been the subject of numerous expeditions hoping to uncover the truth. Cryptid number 15, the White River Monster, Arkansas's Whitewater's terror. In the murky waters of Arkansas's White River lives a creature that's been terrorizing locals for decades. Dubbed the White River Monster, this cryptid was first officially reported in 1915, but stories of strange, large, fish-like beasts date back further. Witnesses describe it as a huge gray creature covered with smooth skin, with spines or horns protruding from its head. It reportedly grows up to 15 feet long and is known for its aggressive behavior, sometimes damaging boats or attacking fishermen. Despite government investigations in the 1970s, including sonar scans and underwater photography, no conclusive evidence has been found. Skeptics suggest large catfish or sturgeon, but the monster's unusual size and behavior keep believers hopeful. Cryptid number 16, the Altamaha, Alti, Georgia's swamp serpent. In the dark, slow-moving waters of Georgia's Altamaha River and surrounding swamps, locals tell of Altamaha, affectionately known as Alti. This cryptid is described as a giant aquatic creature with smooth gray skin, a long neck, and a tail that propels it through the water with power and speed. Sightings describe a creature that can grow up to 20 feet long, often spotted near fishing docks or river bends. Some say it resembles a plesiosaur or large alligator-like reptile. Despite numerous reports and local legends dating back centuries, Alti remains unconfirmed by science. Its elusive nature and the dense swamp terrain make it nearly impossible to track, but its legacy continues to haunt those living near Georgia's waterways. Cryptid number 17, the Kelpie, the haunting of Scotland's lochs. Unlike most sea monsters, the Kelpie is more than just a creature. It's a supernatural water spirit from Scottish folklore. Said to inhabit lochs and rivers, the Kelpie often appears as a beautiful horse, luring travelers to mount it before plunging into the water, drowning its victims. Sometimes it takes human form, seducing people to the water's edge. The Kelpie embodies the danger of water bodies, a chilling reminder that what seems inviting might be deadly. Though more myth than cryptid, countless tragic tales have been linked to the Kelpie, casting a dark shadow over Scotland's waterways. Cryptid number 18, the Cadborosaurus, the Pacific Northwest sea serpent along the rugged coasts of British Columbia and Alaska. Mariners whisper of a creature they call Cadborosaurus, or Caddy for short. This elusive sea serpent is described as a long, slender creature with a horse-like head and a body that undulates like a giant eel. Sightings date back to the 18th century, with fishermen and sailors reporting large wakes and mysterious shapes beneath the waves. Caddy is said to reach lengths of over 30 feet, with a graceful, sinuous movement that sets it apart from known marine animals. Several instances include reports of Caddy lifting its head above the water, revealing a face unlike any creature documented by science. Despite occasional photographs and carcasses washed ashore, no definitive scientific evidence has confirmed the Cadborosaurus's existence. Skeptics attribute sightings to large whales, misidentified logs, or swimming groups of sea lions. Yet the consistency of reports keeps the legend alive. Cryptid number 19. The Nalusa Falaya, the dark water spirit of Louisiana. Deep in the bayous and swamps of Louisiana dwells a sinister creature from Native American legend, the Nalusa Falaya. Translating to long black being, this cryptid is said to be a shadowy humanoid figure that prowls the waters and marshes at night. Unlike typical sea monsters, the Nalusa Falaya is more ghost than beast, an ominous presence that invokes dread. Sightings describe it as a tall, slender black figure with glowing eyes, silently stalking the waters and dragging the unwary into the murky depths. Fishermen and hunters report eerie sounds, unexplained disappearances, and a creeping sense of unease in the bayou after sunset. The Nalusa Falaya is believed to be a guardian spirit, or a vengeful entity punishing those who disrespect the natural world. Cryptid number 20. The Akorokamui, the gigantic octopus of Japan. In the coastal waters near Hokkaido, Japan, fishermen speak in hushed tones about Akorokamui, a colossal sea monster said to resemble a gigantic octopus. Legends say the creature can reach lengths of up to 120 feet, with tentacles capable of crushing boats and dragging entire crews beneath the waves. Akorokamui is both feared and revered, often depicted in folklore as a shape-shifting spirit capable of wreaking havoc or granting protection. Stories tell of fishermen narrowly escaping its grasp, reporting enormous suction marks on boats and eerie, inhuman screams echoing across the water. Some cryptozoologists speculate Akorokamui could be inspired by giant squid or unknown cephalopods, but the size and supernatural abilities ascribed to it make it one of the most terrifying water cryptids in Japanese lore. Cryptid number 21. The Umebozu, the sea monk of Japanese folklore. Another terrifying creature from Japan's coastal legends is the Umebozu, often described as a gigantic shadowy figure resembling a monk rising from the sea. Sailors claim this entity appears on calm nights to capsize boats or drag crews into the ocean depths. The Umebozu is said to have a bald, rounded head and a dark, misty form that can expand or shrink at will. It is a harbinger of storms and death, often considered a vengeful spirit of drowned fishermen. Despite its ghostly nature, the Umebozu has been reported multiple times over centuries, inspiring fear among seafaring communities and cementing its place in Japanese maritime horror. Cryptid number 22. Manipogo, the mysterious serpent of Lake Manitoba. In the vast, icy waters of Lake Manitoba, whispers persist of Manipogo, a massive serpent-like creature said to glide just beneath the surface. Indigenous peoples and locals describe it as a long, dark creature with multiple humps and a reptilian head, measuring up to 40 feet in length. Fishermen have reported sudden, unexplained waves and boats rocking as if caught in an invisible current. Despite modern sonar searches, Manipogo has remained unseen, an elusive phantom haunting the lake's depths and fueling legends that this ancient guardian or predator still lurks where human eyes rarely reach. Cryptid number 23. Altamaha, Georgia's river monster. In the swampy backwaters and slow-moving rivers of Georgia's Altamaha region, the Altamaha, or Alti, is said to inhabit murky waters. Descriptions paint a picture of a massive, gray, serpent-like creature with a long neck and powerful tail, moving silently beneath the surface. Witnesses recount moments when it surfaces briefly, revealing an enormous form before disappearing into thick swamp fog. Rooted in Native American folklore, Alti is seen both as a protector of waterways and a mysterious force commanding respect and fear. Its elusiveness adds to the swamp's eerie atmosphere, a reminder that nature holds secrets beyond human understanding. Cryptid number 24. Grootslang, the legendary cave beast of South Africa. Far from lakes and rivers, Deep in South Africa's Richtersveld lives the Grootslang, a terrifying cryptid described as a colossal serpent with elephant-like features, tusks, glowing eyes, and immense scaly strength. Said to inhabit deep caves connected to underground water systems, it's believed to hoard treasures and drag unwary explorers into its dark lair. Legends tell of its roar echoing through the desert nights, shaking the earth and striking fear into the hearts of locals. The Grootslang embodies ancient primal terror, an unstoppable force hidden beneath the surface of the earth and water alike. Cryptid number 25. Kappa, Japan's water demon. In Japanese folklore, the kappa is a small but deadly water demon dwelling in rivers and ponds. With scaly green skin, webbed hands and feet, and a turtle-like shell, it is instantly recognizable. The kappa's power comes from a water-filled dish on its head. If this water spills, it loses strength. Known for dragging victims, especially children, beneath the water, the kappa is both feared and respected. Tales of encounters warn against approaching water's edge alone, and stories say the kappa can be tricked or defeated by bowing, causing it to spill its life force. In the rivers, lakes, and ponds of Japan, the kappa waits. This ancient creature, steeped in centuries of folklore, is as infamous for its mischief as it is for its menace. A small amphibious humanoid with green, scaly skin and a turtle-like shell, the kappa's most bizarre feature is a bowl-like depression atop its head, filled with water, the source of its life force and power. According to legend, if this water spills, the kappa becomes weakened or dies. That quirk has made it both feared and manageable in stories. A clever person could trick a kappa into bowing, out of politeness, spilling the water from its head. But getting that close is a risk. Kappas are known to lurk beneath riverbanks, waiting to snatch the unwary, especially children. They drag them under the surface and are said to remove something called the shirikodama, a mythical organ believed to contain the soul taken from a victim's rear. Dark, yes. But in other tales, the kappa isn't a killer, but a prankster, stealing crops, flipping boats, or causing stomach cramps. Some stories tell of kappas befriending humans, even teaching them bone-setting or medicinal herbs, if shown respect. Offerings of cucumbers, their favorite food, are still left at shrines and riverbanks today. While many regard kappas as myth, some insist the creatures still haunt the waterways of Japan, shrouded in mist and legend. One thing's certain, the kappa is as strange and enduring as the rivers it calls home. In the rivers, lakes, and ponds of Japan, the kappa waits. This ancient creature, steeped in centuries of folklore, is as infamous for its mischief as it is for its menace. A small amphibious humanoid with green, scaly skin and a turtle-like shell, the kappa's most bizarre feature is a bowl-like depression atop its head, filled with water, the source of its life force and power. According to legend, if this water spills, the kappa becomes weakened or dies. That quirk has made it both feared and manageable in stories. A clever person could trick a kappa into bowing, out of politeness, spilling the water from its head. But getting that close is a risk. Kappas are known to lurk beneath riverbanks, waiting to snatch the unwary, especially children. They drag them under the surface and are said to remove something called the shirikodama, a mythical organ believed to contain the soul taken from a victim's rear. Dark, yes. But in other tales, the kappa isn't a killer, but a prankster, stealing crops, flipping boats, or causing stomach cramps. Some stories tell of kappas befriending humans, even teaching them bone-setting or medicinal herbs, if shown respect. Offerings of cucumbers, their favorite food, are still left at shrines and riverbanks today. While many regard kappas as myth, some insist the creatures still haunt the waterways of Japan, shrouded in mist and legend. One thing's certain, the kappa is as strange and enduring as the rivers it calls home. Teju Jagua, Paraguay. In Paraguay's Guarani mythology, Teju Jaguar is a terrifying fusion of beast and spirit. The creature is said to have the body of a giant lizard or dragon and 7 glowing eyes, each capable of paralyzing those who meet its gaze. Its roar echoes through the forests and rivers, a sound said to curdle blood. Unlike many cryptids, Teju Jaguar has roots in ancient myth rather than modern sightings. He's one of the 7 monstrous sons of Tao and Karana, a demonic being and a mortal woman. Teju Jaguar rules over caves and waterways, guarding treasure or cursed passageways into the underworld. Stories describe him as reclusive, dwelling near sacred rivers or in mossy caves where the sunlight rarely reaches. He punishes the disrespectful, anyone who kills animals near his waters or pollutes the land. He's also been seen as a protector, keeping balance in the natural world and ensuring ancient knowledge stays hidden from those unworthy. Some claim the Teju Jaguar still exists, hidden deep in the jungle where no human dares venture. Others believe he is long gone, but his spirit remains in every unexplained rustle by the river or glint of eyes in the swampy dark. Mahamba, Congo River, Africa. The Mahamba is whispered about in the Congo Basin, a creature described as a colossal, crocodile-like serpent that prowls the dark waters of Central Africa. Known from both legend and the rare murmur of cryptozoologists, Mahamba is said to grow over 50 feet long, its body rippling with dark, oily scales, and its head resembling a monstrous crocodile. Indigenous tribes regard Mahamba with a mix of dread and reverence. It's not just an animal, it's a spiritual guardian, a water entity with the power to capsize boats, swallow men whole, or disappear into the river without a ripple. Some researchers have suggested Mahamba could be a relic, a surviving mosasaur, or giant monitor lizard. Others say it's metaphorical, a warning about the power of the river and the punishment for disrespecting its balance. Mahamba sightings are scarce, often spoken in hushed tones. Fishermen claim they've seen enormous shadows under their boats, or felt a great pressure shift the water beneath them. Some say it's superstition. Others swear something massive watches from the river's edge. It is, as all cryptids are, a manifestation of our primal fear, the unknown beneath our feet, waiting, watching, surviving. Nguruvilu, Chile. From Mapuche mythology comes the Nguruvilu, a fox-like water beast that lurks in the rivers and streams of southern Chile. Unlike other aquatic monsters, Nguruvilu is slender, agile, and covered in fur, but it possesses a long, whip-like tail that ends in a razor-sharp claw. It uses this tail to create whirlpools and eddies, snaring anyone who dares to cross its river without permission. It's a creature of both cunning and fury. The Nguruvilu doesn't strike at random. Instead, it targets the arrogant, those who disrespect nature, pollute the water, or cross without offerings or ceremony. In some stories, brave Machi, shamans, are summoned to confront the Nguruvilu, diving into the river in a battle of wills and spirit. Only those with deep respect for the natural world can calm the creature and stop its wrath. Modern tales still circulate, of travelers who vanish near quiet rivers, of strange claw marks in the mud. The Nguruvilu remains an enduring warning. Nature remembers, and it punishes those who take it for granted. Kelpie, Scotland. In the misty highlands of Scotland, there is a creature that haunts the edges of lochs and rivers. The Kelpie. This shape-shifting water spirit is perhaps one of the most sinister legends to rise from Celtic folklore. Though it most often appears as a sleek black horse waiting silently by the water, its true form is far more gruesome. The Kelpie lures people, usually children, to mount its back, only for its skin to become adhesive, trapping them as it dives into the depths. What's especially chilling is how calmly the Kelpie waits. It doesn't chase, it tempts. Its mane glistens with water, its eyes shimmer with supernatural light, and its posture invites trust. But once mounted, the rider realizes, far too late, that the creature is pulling them toward a watery grave. Victims are dragged into the loch, never seen again, save for perhaps a lonely heart or liver that surfaces days later, as the old tales say. In some stories, the Kelpie can assume human form, often that of a handsome stranger near a riverbank, dripping wet and oddly out of place. In these cases, its true nature is revealed by waterweed tangled in its hair or hooves peeking from beneath a coat. Kelpies are not just ghost stories, but moral lessons cloaked in horror. They warn of the dangers of the unknown, of wandering too close to wild waters, and of trusting appearances. Despite their monstrous tendencies, some believe Kelpies were once guardians of nature, turned bitter by the encroachment of humans. Even today, stone carvings of Kelpies and iron-bound legends keep their stories alive in Scottish villages. Whether literal beasts or metaphors for drowning hazards, Kelpies endure, eerie, beautiful, and deadly. Issei, Japan. Lake Ikeda, nestled in Japan's Kyushu region, is a beautiful and tranquil place. But beneath its still waters is said to lurk a creature of ancient mystery. Issei. Often compared to Nessie, Issei is a large, black, serpentine creature described as having humps, a long neck, and the ability to move rapidly through the water. But Issei is more than a simple sea monster. It carries with it a tragic, haunting legend. According to local lore, a grieving white mare once lost her beloved foal. In despair, she leapt into the lake and transformed into Issei, doomed to search the depths forever for her lost child. Since then, Issei is seen most often when someone is in deep sorrow, as if drawn to grief. Modern sightings have come in bursts. In 1978, tourists snapped photos of what appeared to be large, dark humps in the water. Others claim to have seen a massive shadow just below the surface, or to have heard strange sounds echoing across the lake at night, like a mother calling out for something that never returns. Though no scientific explanation has surfaced, Issei remains a beloved mystery in Japan. Tour boats offer monster tours, and statues of the creature can be found near the lake. But for locals, the story of Issei isn't just about fear. It's about loss, love, and something ancient watching silently from the deep. Lusca, Bahamas. In the warm, crystalline waters of the Bahamas lie hundreds of blue holes, underwater cave systems that stretch into darkness. And from those depths, legend says, rises a monster, the Lusca. Said to be part shark, part octopus, and all terror, the Lusca is an enormous predator known to yank swimmers from the surface without warning, dragging them into the abyss. The creature is said to measure up to 75 feet long, with the body of a giant octopus and the jaws of a shark. Eyewitnesses describe sudden whirlpools forming near blue holes, sometimes accompanied by tentacles reaching out with terrifying force. Divers have reported feeling sudden currents pulling them downward, only to escape just before blacking out. Some say those who vanished near these sites were taken by the Lusca. The blue holes themselves are difficult to explore. Some are hundreds of feet deep and branch into dangerous tunnels. This natural inaccessibility makes them the perfect hiding place for an unknown apex predator. Though skeptics say the Lusca may be based on exaggerated sightings of giant squid or misidentified marine life, locals continue to believe. Fishermen refuse to anchor near certain holes, and night swimming is widely discouraged in remote areas. The Lusca remains a terrifying possibility, a relic of something ancient, hidden in the shadows of paradise. Nguruvilu, Chile. In the mythic beliefs of the Mapuche people of Chile, there exists a creature unlike any other, the Nguruvilu. This water beast is part fox, part serpent, and entirely supernatural. It is said to live in the rivers and streams of southern Chile, guarding fords and crossings with fierce intelligence. The Nguruvilu's most distinct feature is its long, clawed tail, used to create whirlpools and floods to drown those who disrespect the river. It's not a mindless beast, but a trickster, laying false paths across the water and waiting until travelers are halfway across before striking. When it attacks, it coils its serpentine body around its prey and pulls them beneath the current, never to be seen again. However, this cryptid is not purely evil. It is a punisher of arrogance, a protector of the river's spirit. Those who approach the water respectfully or call upon a machi, shaman, to appease the creature may be allowed to pass unharmed. Legends say the only way to stop the Nguruvilu is through a ritual battle. A shaman must dive into the river, confront the beast, and tame it with ancestral words and courage. Only then can a safe crossing be built. To this day, strange drownings in quiet rivers are blamed on the Nguruvilu. It remains a sacred enforcer of nature, feared, respected, and remembered. Amhuluk, Pacific Northwest. Among the native tribes of Oregon and Washington, tales are told of a water serpent known as Amhuluk, a guardian of lakes, a punisher of trespassers, and a figure that inspires dread in even seasoned hunters. Said to inhabit deep forest ponds and hidden mountain waters, Amhuluk is rarely seen, but its presence is always felt. This creature is described as a massive horned serpent with red eyes and a mouth full of twisted fangs. Wherever it appears, the trees die, the water turns black, and a foul mist spreads. It is said to coil around large animals and even humans, pulling them into the lake and feeding on their life force. The tribes believed Amhuluk was a spiritual guardian, a force of balance. It struck down the arrogant, those who disrespected the land or overfished sacred lakes. Offerings were left at the shores of remote ponds to appease it. Fish bones, beads, feathers, tokens of humility. There are stories of men vanishing near water that was too still, too perfect. Some say they saw a ripple just before their canoe flipped. Some say Amhuluk can curse the very air, sending fevers through entire villages. Whether a monster, a god, or both, Amhuluk is one of the Pacific Northwest's most terrifying hidden presences, an ancient thing in the water that waits, listens, and judges. The Tijaruk, Arctic, Inuit lore, Alaska, and northern Canada. Far in the freezing waters of the Arctic, Inuit communities speak of a creature known as the Tijaruk. Said to prowl the icy seas and fjords of northern Alaska and parts of Canada, the Tijaruk is described as a massive, snake-like sea serpent with a long, finned body and a head similar to that of a giant sea lion. Eyewitnesses claim it measures over 15 feet long, moves silently, and can snatch prey from docks or thin ice without leaving a ripple. What makes the Tijaruk particularly eerie is its stealth. Locals say it waits just below the surface, often beneath ice sheets or near the edges of villages. People have vanished without warning. One moment standing on a pier, the next gone. No scream. No splash. Just the bitter wind and a single long trail in the snow leading toward the water. The creature has inspired cautionary tales passed down through generations, warnings not to fish alone, not to linger near cracked ice, and never to ignore ripples in calm water. Though some researchers speculate that Tijaruk sightings could be misidentified seals or Greenland sharks, the accounts are too consistent, too chilling, to dismiss outright. To the Inuit, the Tijaruk is not just a myth. It's a guardian of the Arctic's balance, ancient, cold, and waiting just beneath the ice. The Grootslang River worm, South Africa. While the Grootslang is traditionally tied to caves in South Africa, lesser-known legends from the Limpopo River tell of a river worm variation, a serpentine offshoot said to live deep within the winding riverbeds. This version of the Grootslang is more aquatic, described as a massive black-scaled serpent with glowing amber eyes and a mouth large enough to swallow hippos whole. Local herdsmen and villagers near the Limpopo speak of strange roars at night and the eerie feeling of being watched from under the water. Livestock that graze too close to the river vanish. At times, entire sandbanks have been pulled underwater, as if something gigantic stirred from below. The Grootslang River worm is believed to be territorial and vengeful. It punishes those who try to dam or redirect the river, or who pollute the waters. Offerings, usually gemstones or coins, are thrown into the river to appease it during rituals and droughts. Its legend is lesser known globally, but to those living along the Limpopo, the river's shifting flow is never entirely natural, not when the Grootslang sleeps beneath it. The Ipaluvik, Greenland Inuit sea demon. Lurking in the icy seas off Greenland's coast, the Ipaluvik is a lesser-known Inuit water demon that embodies death, hunger, and blood. It's said to resemble a half-man, half-seal monstrosity with long claws, hollow eyes, and a stench of decay. It follows hunters, sneaks aboard kayaks, and causes storms and capsizings, especially when blood from a kill is spilled into the water. The Ipaluvik isn't just a predator. It's a spirit of punishment. It seeks out those who hunt too greedily or kill without ritual. Unlike other cryptids that live and let live, the Ipaluvik is known for malicious cunning. It mimics the cries of wounded seals or the voices of loved ones, luring hunters into the cold. Inuit elders speak of it as both warning and metaphor, an avatar of ecological revenge. With more commercial activity and warming waters in the Arctic, belief in the Ipaluvik has started to re-emerge. Some say sightings have increased. Strange ripples, blood turning black in the water, and shapes that shouldn't exist beneath the ice. The Kumi lizard, New Zealand. New Zealand's forests and rivers are said to be haunted by the Kumi, a cryptid that blends reptilian terror with aquatic stealth. Described in Maori folklore as a massive, water-dwelling lizard or dragon, the Kumi lives in river caves and emerges at dusk to hunt. Sightings speak of a long-bodied, crocodilian creature with glowing green eyes and rows of needle-like teeth. It can move both in water and on land, but prefers deep rivers that snake through New Zealand's shadowy woodlands. Some stories say the Kumi is the guardian of tapu, sacred places, and that disrespecting the land invites its wrath. Others believe it once ruled the rivers, but was hunted nearly to extinction by early Maori warriors. Yet a few survive, hidden deep in the forgotten streams of Aotearoa. Occasional reports of massive shapes in the water, eerie growls echoing through gorges, and strange claw marks near rivers keep the legend of the Kumi alive. Though often overshadowed by the more famous Taniwa, the Kumi is a darker, more elusive cousin, a river-born cryptid that remembers blood. The Storsjöodjuret, Sweden. In the icy waters of Lake Storsjön in central Sweden lives a creature known to locals as the Storsjöodjuret, or the Great Lake Monster. Though long overshadowed by Loch Ness, this serpentine creature has been reported since the 17th century, with accounts describing a sleek, undulating body, a dog-like head, and sometimes multiple humps breaking the surface. According to legend, the creature was born from a magical experiment conducted by two trolls, who created a serpent so dangerous they had to imprison it in the lake. But over time, the beast grew and escaped its magical constraints, becoming the hidden ruler of Sweden's fifth-largest lake. Sightings come and go. In 1894, a government-sanctioned search for the beast yielded no results, but rumors only grew. Witnesses report seeing the creature swimming rapidly between islands or diving after boats. In 1986, sonar scans captured an enormous moving shape beneath the lake's surface. Proof for some, hoax for others. Unlike Nessie, the Storsjöodjuret is seen as less friendly, more aloof, possibly aggressive. Local fishermen leave offerings, and some refuse to sail in the early morning when fog hangs heavy. In Östersund, a statue commemorates the monster, a silent nod to something that may still linger beneath. Can you make the imagery scary and also use the proper imagery? Tier 3. Obscure and forgotten. These are the cryptids hidden in the deepest corners of cultural memory, rarely spoken of, scarcely documented, and often known only to isolated communities or buried in dusty regional folklore. They're not widely recognized even among cryptid enthusiasts, making them the eerie middle ground between forgotten myth and undiscovered monster. These creatures are old, often ignored, and unsettling in ways that linger. The Brosno dragon, Russia. In the quiet forests of western Russia, in the Tver Oblast near the Volga River basin, lies Lake Brosno, cold, vast, and still. But beneath its calm surface, local legend claims something ancient lurks: the Brosno dragon. Known in Slavic folklore for centuries, this elusive water monster is one of Russia's best-kept secrets, a regional terror whispered about by fishermen, villagers, and soldiers alike. The creature is often described as a massive serpentine beast, with a humped back like a giant eel or sea serpent, jaws like a crocodile, and scales that shimmer like tarnished metal. In some tales, it has glowing eyes. In others, it lets out a low, rumbling growl just before breaching the surface. Sightings describe it rising from the depths in the early morning fog or just after a heavy storm, disturbing the lake's eerie silence. The earliest legends stretch back to the 13th century, with accounts of entire boats vanishing or livestock mysteriously disappearing near the lake's edge. One story tells of a Mongol scouting party in the time of Batu Khan that allegedly turned back after witnessing the devil of the water erupt from the lake's center. Others say that in World War II, Nazi soldiers tried to establish a munitions base near the lake, only to abandon the effort when something huge and unseen sank their equipment overnight. Despite these tales, the Brosno dragon remains virtually unknown outside of its region. It's never had the media fame of Loch Ness or Ogopogo, perhaps because of Lake Brosno's remoteness, or perhaps because the creature itself seems to avoid being seen. Local researchers and amateur cryptozoologists have attempted sonar readings and sediment analysis in recent years. Some theorize that natural gas vents from the lakebed could cause the bubbling and disturbances that people attribute to the monster. Others believe the legend may stem from sightings of giant pike, freshwater fish known to grow alarmingly large and aggressive in Russian waters. Still, believers insist that the dragon is real. Fishermen avoid the center of the lake. Some elders refuse to set foot near its banks after dark. And each year, a few more stories surface, of shadowy shapes beneath rowboats, of waves with no wind, of something brushing against divers' legs in the gloom. Whether it's an undiscovered species, a misinterpreted natural phenomenon, or an ancient fear carried forward through the centuries, the Brosno dragon holds its place in the silent depths of Russian legend, unseen, unproven, but never quite forgotten. Of course, let's continue your Watch Tier 3, Obscure and Forgotten, Water Cryptid list with another full entry below. This one comes from deep Italian folklore and has barely survived the erosion of time. Lariosauro, Italy, Lake Como. Italy's Lake Como is known today as a glamorous retreat, lined with villas, boats, and celebrities. But beneath its glittering surface lies a legend far older than modern luxury, the Lariosauro, an aquatic beast that has haunted the lake for nearly 2 centuries. It's a name barely known outside local circles, yet it is among Europe's most quietly persistent cryptid mysteries. The story began in the 1800s, when fossil remains of a prehistoric reptile were discovered in the region. Paleontologists named it Lariosaurus balsami, an extinct marine reptile believed to have lived during the Middle Triassic period. But for locals, that fossil sparked more than just scientific interest. It gave a name to something they'd been whispering about for generations. Not long after the discovery, sightings began to emerge. Fishermen claimed to have seen a large creature swimming just below the lake's surface, moving with unnatural speed. It was described as having short legs, a long neck, and a wide mouth, eerily similar to how Lariosaurus would have looked. One report from 1946 described a dinosaur-like beast thrashing near a dock during a foggy morning. Others, more recent, tell of strange wakes in calm water, or of something massive surfacing at night before vanishing again into the deep. Lake Como is unusually deep, plunging over 1,300 feet in places, and features an array of underwater caves and thermal currents that remain poorly explored. Could an undiscovered species live there, hidden in darkness, evolving silently? Or is the Lariosaurus a legend born from fossils and superstition? Skeptics say the sightings can be explained by oversized catfish, floating logs, or the tricks of moonlight on water. But the consistency in descriptions over decades, the same shape, the same size, the same eerie silence, has kept the mystery alive. Italian newspapers occasionally report new encounters, and small cryptid hunting groups have even taken sonar equipment onto the lake in search of proof. Still, the Lariosaurus remains elusive. It doesn't have the fame of Nessie or the fanfare of modern sea monster hunts. Instead, it exists quietly in the background, a low, lurking presence beneath one of Europe's most beautiful lakes. Locals sometimes joke about it, but there's always a tension when the topic comes up. Ask a fisherman from an old family, and they might tell you in hushed tones that something does live down there, something that doesn't like to be disturbed. Whether the Lariosaurus is an undiscovered species, a living fossil, or just a symbol of humanity's eternal fear of deep water, one thing is certain: Lake Como's elegance hides a shadow. And in that shadow, the Lariosaurus waits a ghost of the prehistoric past swimming silently beneath the waves. Bunyip, Australia. In the vast and rugged landscapes of Australia, the Aboriginal people have passed down stories for generations about a creature that dwells in billabongs, swamps, and creeks, the bunyip. Though some might argue it belongs in Tier 2 due to its recognition in Australian folklore, the bunyip's true form, origin, and obscurity outside its homeland firmly plant it in Tier 3. It is feared, respected, and often misremembered. A shadow beast of the wetlands, never truly defined. Descriptions of the bunyip vary wildly. Some say it has the head of a dog and the body of a seal. Others claim it looks more like a giant starfish or an ox-sized amphibian with tusks and a terrifying howl. This inconsistency is not due to exaggeration, but rather, as Aboriginal elders say, because the bunyip can change shape. It is a spirit beast, not bound by one form. It is most often associated with waterholes and swamps, where it is said to attack anyone who dares to intrude on sacred ground. Many regions have different bunyip legends. Some speak of a lone guardian who punishes those who break taboos, while others tell of bunyips dragging livestock underwater or roaring loud enough to shake the trees. What unifies them all is a deep respect for water and the unknown dangers that may lurk within it. In the 1800s, European settlers in Australia began recording Aboriginal bunyip legends and even claimed to find evidence. In one case, a set of strange bones was displayed in the Australian Museum under the label Bunyip Skull. People lined up to see it, though it mysteriously vanished later, and no similar remains were ever found. There have been sporadic sightings well into the 20th century. Strange wakes in isolated pools, ear-splitting cries in the night, and livestock disappearing near still water. Some believe the bunyip is a surviving prehistoric marsupial, like a giant diprotodon. Others argue it's more spiritual than physical, a manifestation of fear and punishment rooted in the land itself. What makes the bunyip especially chilling is the warning it represents. Aboriginal lore doesn't treat it like a simple monster, but rather a lesson. a protector of sacred spaces, and a punisher of arrogance. Those who disrespect the wetlands, kill unnecessarily, or disturb ancient sites may invoke the wrath of the bunyip. Its silence, its murky presence, and its utter refusal to conform to any single form give it a terrifying edge over more well-defined cryptids. Today, the bunyip has been softened in cartoons and tourist attractions, but for those who've lived on the edge of swamps and heard things that defy logic, it's no joke. It's an echo of something primal, waiting in the reeds. It may never show itself clearly, but it doesn't have to. The fear is already there, deep, old, and still breathing. Bunyip, Australia. In the vast and rugged landscapes of Australia, the Aboriginal people have passed down stories for generations about a creature that dwells in billabongs, swamps, and creeks, the bunyip. Though some might argue it belongs in Tier 2 due to its recognition in Australian folklore, the bunyip's true form, origin, and obscurity outside its homeland firmly plant it in Tier 3. It is feared, respected, and often misremembered. A shadow beast of the wetlands, never truly defined. Descriptions of the bunyip vary wildly. Some say it has the head of a dog and the body of a seal. Others claim it looks more like a giant starfish or an ox-sized amphibian with tusks and a terrifying howl. This inconsistency is not due to exaggeration, but rather, as Aboriginal elders say, because the bunyip can change shape. It is a spirit beast, not bound by one form. It is most often associated with waterholes and swamps, where it is said to attack anyone who dares to intrude on sacred ground. Many regions have different bunyip legends. Some speak of a lone guardian who punishes those who break taboos, while others tell of bunyips dragging livestock underwater or roaring loud enough to shake the trees. What unifies them all is a deep respect for water and the unknown dangers that may lurk within it. In the 1800s, European settlers in Australia began recording Aboriginal bunyip legends and even claimed to find evidence. In one case, a set of strange bones was displayed in the Australian Museum under the label Bunyip Skull. People lined up to see it, though it mysteriously vanished later, and no similar remains were ever found. There have been sporadic sightings well into the 20th century. Strange wakes in isolated pools, ear-splitting cries in the night, and livestock disappearing near still water. Some believe the bunyip is a surviving prehistoric marsupial, like a giant diprotodon. Others argue it's more spiritual than physical, a manifestation of fear and punishment rooted in the land itself. What makes the bunyip especially chilling is the warning it represents. Aboriginal lore doesn't treat it like a simple monster, but rather a lesson, a protector of sacred spaces, and a punisher of arrogance. Those who disrespect the wetlands, kill unnecessarily, or disturb ancient sites may invoke the wrath of the bunyip. Its silence, its murky presence, and its utter refusal to conform to any single form give it a terrifying edge over more well-defined cryptids. Today, the bunyip has been softened in cartoons and tourist attractions, but for those who've lived on the edge of swamps and heard things that defy logic, it's no joke. It's an echo of something primal, waiting in the reeds. It may never show itself clearly, but it doesn't have to. The fear is already there, deep, old, and still breathing. The water panther, Mishipeshu, Great Lakes, Native American lore. Deep in the cold, silent waters of the Great Lakes and the rivers that feed them dwells a force older than memory, Mishipeshu, the water panther. This isn't just an aquatic cryptid. It's a guardian spirit, a punisher, and a predator. In Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Algonquin legend, Mishipeshu is said to rule the watery underworld with claws of copper, scales like armor, and eyes that burn with anger. It's described as a massive creature, part panther, part dragon, with the head of a wild cat, horns like a bison, a scaly serpentine body, and a long whip-like tail. It moves silently beneath lakes, especially those surrounded by copper-rich land, like Lake Superior, and it is said to dwell near copper veins, guarding them with lethal fury. Mishipeshu doesn't just attack randomly. It chooses its victims. Hunters who desecrate sacred land, miners who steal copper without offerings, and travelers who mock the water's power are the most likely to disappear. The creature has been blamed for sudden drownings, storms that rise from clear skies, and the sound of unearthly growls echoing across the lake at night. One chilling aspect of Mishipeshu lore is its intelligence.
It doesn't act like a beast. It waits, watches, and strikes with intent.
Some stories say it can appear in dreams before it drags you beneath the surface. Others believe it can speak, tempting people toward their death with promises of wealth or knowledge. Despite its fearsome nature, Mishipeshu is not always a villain. To the Ojibwe, it is a sacred being, a guardian of natural balance and spiritual laws. Ceremonies are still performed to honor it, and copper offerings have historically been left near riverbanks to appease its wrath. It punishes greed, pride, and ignorance. It is nature's retribution. In modern times, sightings have dwindled, but whispers remain. Some boaters claim to have seen a horned shadow swimming beneath their canoes. Divers in Lake Superior have described overwhelming feelings of dread or hearing growls and knocks echoing through the depths. One crew near Isle Royale in the 1970s claimed to have seen a massive scaled tail disappear into a fog bank during a thunderstorm, followed by a wave that nearly capsized their ship. Skeptics blame the tails on sturgeon, otters, or hallucinations from isolation. But the elders say the creature still swims, buried beneath centuries of sediment and silence. To those who know the stories, Mishipeshu isn't just a myth. It's a warning, one that says the water is alive and it doesn't forgive. The Ningen, Antarctica. In the endless white void of Antarctica, where the horizon disappears into cold and clouds, and the ocean is an abyss of black, Japanese whale researchers began reporting something impossible, a creature the size of a submarine, humanoid in shape, gliding silently beneath the ice. They called it the Ningen, a name that simply means human in Japanese. But whatever it is, it's not human. Not even close. Sightings began circulating in the early 2000s on Japanese message boards, where anonymous researchers claimed their ships had encountered something truly horrifying. Descriptions vary, but the core remains the same. A massive, pale white creature, sometimes over 100 feet long, shaped vaguely like a person. It has arms, a torso, and even facial features, usually described as blank, with no visible eyes or mouth. Sometimes it has a mermaid-like tail, other times legs. Some versions say it floats motionless near the surface. Others claim it moves with unnatural grace beneath the ice. What makes the Ningen terrifying isn't just its size or its shape, it's the uncanny sense of intelligence and awareness. Researchers report seeing it surface only to dive just before spotlights hit it. Sonar picks up massive moving shapes, then nothing. Cameras malfunction. Engines stall. It's as if it knows when it's being watched. According to some alleged eyewitness accounts, the Ningen emits no sound, leaves no wake, and seems to materialize out of the darkness. Some divers claim to have seen its face looking back at them through the ice, a smooth, featureless mask of flesh floating silently above the ocean floor. In one account, A crew member described hearing something like a low, echoing hum from under the hull before the ship's electronics went haywire. There are even whispers that the Japanese government knows more than it admits. Some conspiracy theorists claim the Ningen has been captured on underwater military surveillance footage, and that expeditions have been ordered to avoid areas where it has been sighted. The fear isn't that it will attack, but that it's watching, studying, waiting. Skeptics dismiss the Ningen as internet hoax culture mixed with pareidolia, the tendency to see human-like forms in random shapes, especially in fog and ice. Icebergs, large squid, or misidentified whales could explain some sightings. But none of those account for the humanoid arms, the faces, or the overwhelming psychological effect reported by those who claim to have seen it. The Ningen seems designed to disturb, a creature that's just human enough to be recognizable, and just alien enough to be terrifying. Like a ghost of evolution, it swims through one of Earth's most desolate environments, silent, pale, and impossible. It doesn't need to chase its prey. You'll find it when you're already too far from land, when the cold is absolute, and when help is too far away to matter. The devil whale, global, mythological, ocean terror. Long before submarines, satellite imaging, and oceanic science, sailors told stories of the devil whale, a monstrous, malevolent entity that didn't just live in the sea. It was the sea. This was no ordinary whale. It was said to be the size of an island, its back often mistaken for land. When sailors would anchor to its flesh, light fires, or even set up camp, the beast would awaken, plunging them into the abyss as it roared and dove, drowning them with one motion of its mountainous body. The devil whale appears across multiple cultures, under different names: Aspidocolone in medieval bestiaries, Zaratan in Arabic tales, and even in Japanese whaling legends, where entire ships vanished after tying off to a sleeping island. But the theme remains the same. This creature is not just a predator, it's a punisher. Unlike other sea monsters that react out of hunger or instinct, the devil whale is portrayed as deliberate in its actions. It waits, masquerading as safety in the open ocean. It lures sailors not with movement, but with stillness, with the illusion of rest. That's what makes it so horrifying. It isn't hunting in the traditional sense. It's baiting. Some versions of the legend claim its breath can stir hurricanes. Others say it has glowing eyes the size of sails and teeth like jagged cliffs. The more ancient texts, particularly Christian bestiaries, viewed the devil whale as a metaphor for Satan himself, offering false security, then dragging souls into the deep. Whether myth or cryptid, its symbolism has persisted for centuries, a warning against comfort in dangerous places. Stories from old shipping logs tell of land masses that moved, or of entire crews lost after anchoring to what appeared to be a dormant mound in the ocean. There are even rumors from 19th century whaling ships of harpoons bouncing off a wall of hide, and of singing beneath the water that sent entire crews into madness. In one account, a survivor from a wreck claimed their ship burned from within after the island they landed on sank in rage. Modern interpretations suggest the devil whale might be an amalgamation of whale fall ecosystems, sightings of whale pods at odd angles, or volcanic islands forming and submerging. But no natural phenomenon truly explains the malice described in the tales. This creature isn't just big, it's vindictive. And that's what puts it in Tier 4. It represents a living nightmare, the idea that the ocean itself can lure you to safety just to consume you in silence. The devil whale isn't just a beast from folklore. It's the reason sailors still hesitate when they see land where there should be none. It's why, even now, ships avoid dark shapes in open sea. because what looks like salvation from the waves may open its mouth. Of course, let's continue our descent into Tier 4, terrifying entities, with another chilling 500-word water cryptid. This one is rarely mentioned outside certain island folklore, but those who know it speak of it in fearful whispers. Heto. The Lusca, Bahamas. Blue hole horror. Hidden among the serene turquoise waters of the Bahamas lie the blue holes. Deep, vertical underwater caves that plummet into darkness like bottomless chasms. Divers are drawn to them for their surreal beauty, but locals know better. For generations, they've warned of something that dwells in those depths, a creature they call the Lusca, described as part octopus, part shark, and part nightmare. The Lusca is said to live in the underwater cave systems that link inland blue holes to the open ocean. It waits in silence, unseen in the shadows, until something or someone gets too close. Reports describe the Lusca as enormous, tentacles spanning 75 to 100 feet, powerful enough to crush coral or snap boats in half. Some witnesses say its top half resembles a monstrous shark or moray eel, with rows of jagged teeth, while its lower body is all writhing limbs and suction cups the size of dinner plates. And worst of all, the suction is never the first thing people feel. It's the pull. Sudden, unnatural current that grabs ankles and yanks divers downward before they can scream. The Lusca doesn't just attack. It hunts. In multiple instances, swimmers have vanished without a trace in calm waters near these sinkholes. The surface stays still, no bubbles, no struggle, no warning. Just gone. Some believe the Lusca uses the cave system to travel unseen, emerging from one blue hole and disappearing into another, as if the entire island chain were its personal lair. Legends say the Lusca can squeeze through impossible spaces, wait motionless for hours, and change the color of its skin to become invisible in the gloom. Others insist it's more than just a predator, that it's intelligent, even vengeful. Offerings have been made to the blue holes for centuries. Fish, rum, even copper trinkets, in hopes of appeasing the creature that lives below. One especially harrowing story from the 1970s tells of a diver who was exploring a blue hole when their safety rope suddenly went taut. The team above pulled with all their strength, only to feel a powerful resistance pulling back, something that wasn't the diver. When they finally retrieved the rope, it was shredded. Diver was never found. Skeptics argue the disappearances are due to strong tidal flows, disorienting caverns, or underwater pressure shifts. But locals know the difference between a tragic accident and something else. Something with a grip. Something with a hunger. They'll tell you plainly, you don't go near the holes at dusk. That's when it feeds. The Lusca isn't interested in being found or explained. It's not a relic of nature. It's an apex predator of a world few dare enter, a god of the cracks and caverns below. And when it wraps around you, you won't see it. You'll only feel yourself being pulled into the dark. The Veil Leviathan. Unknown ocean depths, possibly Arctic waters. Beyond the edges of mapped oceans, where freezing currents churn and darkness reigns eternal, Sailors and indigenous peoples alike have long feared a creature so immense and alien, it seems almost supernatural.
Known in whispered legends as the Veil Leviathan, this cryptid is less a beast and more an impossible force of nature, a colossal entity cloaked in shifting veils of translucent flesh and shadow that seem to warp reality itself.
The Veil Leviathan is not confined to any single appearance. Witnesses who have glimpsed it through the ice-thick waters describe a form constantly changing, sometimes resembling a vast undulating ribbon stretching for miles, other times a mass of flickering shadows that mimic giant flowing curtains. Its body is said to ripple with a translucent, ghostly glow, revealing countless eyes and mouths that open and close in unsettling patterns. These mouths emit no sound, but those nearby report an overwhelming sensation of suffocation, dread, and despair, as if the creature feeds on fear itself. Few live to tell the tale. Most encounters occur in the polar regions, particularly near Arctic shipping routes and indigenous fishing grounds. In Inuit legends, the Veil Leviathan is called the Silent Shroud, a guardian of frozen seas that punishes those who disrespect the waters or overfish its domain. Stories tell of entire hunting vessels disappearing beneath swirling veils of water and mist, swallowed without a trace. Modern sailors and researchers report that when the Veil Leviathan approaches, instruments fail inexplicably, compasses spin wildly, radios emit static, and sonar returns fragmented signals resembling distorted voices or cries. Survivors describe the water around the creature as unnaturally still, yet somehow oppressive, as if the very essence of the ocean has thickened. One documented incident involved a Russian research vessel in 2012, investigating unexplained disappearances in the Arctic Circle. As the ship ventured near a patch of icy water where several fishing boats had vanished, the crew's instruments went haywire. Crew members reported seeing vast, translucent shapes undulating beneath the surface, accompanied by fleeting glimpses of dozens of eyes blinking in unison. Panic set in as the water around the ship thickened like a gelatinous veil, swallowing light and sound. The vessel abruptly lost power, drifting helplessly until rescue teams arrived days later, to find no survivors and the ship eerily frozen in place, as if suspended in time. Scientists remain baffled by the Veil Leviathan. Some hypothesize it could be a massive, previously unknown cephalopod with bioluminescent qualities and shape-shifting camouflage. Others suggest it may be a psychic or extra-dimensional entity, a living embodiment of the Arctic's darkest fears. Whatever the truth, its impact is undeniable. Psychological trauma among survivors is common, including vivid nightmares, hallucinations, and unexplained neurological symptoms. The Veil Leviathan is a force beyond understanding, a haunting presence lurking beneath the ice, a shape-shifting shroud of terror that blurs the boundary between reality and nightmare. To encounter it is to confront the ocean's deepest secret, that beneath the waves lies a darkness not meant for human minds, and an ancient predator that feeds on more than just flesh. The Shattered Maw. Deep Pacific abyss. Uncharted trenches. Far beyond the reach of sunlight and human exploration lies a rift in the Pacific Ocean, a scar in the seabed known only to a handful of deep-sea submersible pilots and whispered among sailors as the domain of the Shattered Maw. This cryptid transcends flesh and bone, manifesting as a grotesque distortion of the ocean itself, a gaping, shattered mouth of impossible size, bristling with fractured shards that resemble teeth, but are jagged, pulsating shards of crystalline darkness. The Shattered Maw is said to exist in a region where tectonic plates grind silently beneath crushing pressure, creating a rift so deep it twists reality. Sonar scans reveal nothing but void, and cameras that look into this abyss capture images warped beyond recognition. The Maw's shape is rumored to be an ever-changing nightmare, an open mouth cracked and split like shattered glass, endlessly hungry but never feeding in any conventional sense. Encounters with the Shattered Maw are often brief but leave profound and permanent effects. Submersibles report sudden loss of communication and power when near its vicinity. Crew members describe a creeping sense of mental dissolution, as if the Maw's presence slowly breaks down the mind from within. Those who return from close proximity often exhibit catatonia, strange speech patterns, or vivid hallucinations involving fracturing realities and impossible geometries. Legend says the shattered maw is not a creature but a fracture in existence, a wound in the ocean's fabric where the laws of physics fail. Some researchers speculate it is an ancient cosmic entity imprisoned beneath the sea, its fractured mouth forever open as a portal to realms beyond human comprehension. Survivors recount hearing a low grinding noise, like broken glass scraping on stone, rising from the depths before the maw reveals itself. They describe glimpses of impossible colors, shapes folding in on themselves, and shadows that seem to stretch into infinity. One pilot reported seeing countless rows of eyes blinking in dissonant rhythms along the maw's jagged edges, staring into the submersible with an intelligence that shattered all reason.
The maw's hunger is said to be metaphysical. It consumes memories, perceptions, and sanity rather than flesh.
Ships passing near the rift sometimes disappear without a trace, leaving behind only fragmented distress signals filled with static and incoherent screams. Some accounts claim that those lost to the maw don't drown. They vanish from existence entirely, as if consumed by a cosmic void. Researchers have attempted to map the rift, but find their instruments malfunctioning and data corrupted. Attempts to send robotic probes end with garbled transmissions and then silence. The maw is a black hole of consciousness, a place where reality itself unravels. The shattered maw is a warning that beneath the oceans lie fractures that man was never meant to witness. It embodies a terrifying truth, that the deep sea is not only home to unknown creatures, but to unknown horrors, cracks in existence where ancient malevolence hungers silently for the unwary. The Black Reef Phantom, unknown depths, remote oceanic atolls. Far from human civilization, scattered among forgotten atolls and uncharted coral reefs, sailors tell of a nightmare that doesn't swim. It melds. Known only as the Black Reef Phantom, this entity is said to be a shifting, spectral presence that inhabits the darkest coral canyons where sunlight never reaches. It is not a creature but a living shadow, a distortion of the reef's shape and color, constantly twisting in impossible ways. Witnesses describe the phantom as an undulating mass of darkness, with vague hints of form, flickering limbs that vanish into smoke-like tendrils, eyes that appear briefly and then dissolve, and teeth that gleam like polished obsidian before fading into the blackness. Its movement is disorienting, defying physics, flowing through water as if it's made of liquid smoke or ink. Fishermen who have strayed too close tell of sudden, icy chills that freeze their bones, followed by a creeping paralysis that spreads through their limbs. The water around the reef turns unnaturally still, and the very light seems to warp, bending in ways that break the mind's logic. Those caught near the phantom report hearing whispering voices just beneath the water's surface, words that scrape at sanity and invade dreams. One terrifying tale tells of a dive team investigating coral bleaching near a remote atoll. Their underwater cameras malfunctioned repeatedly, displaying static and twisted images. During their descent, a diver spotted a cluster of eyes forming in the shadows, dozens of black orbs blinking in unison. Suddenly, the diver felt as though invisible hands gripped her body, pulling and twisting her in impossible directions. She was only saved when her teammates managed to drag her back to the surface, but she later described losing hours, feeling fragmented in time. Locals believe the Black Reef Phantom to be a curse of the ocean, an ancient entity born from the souls of drowned sailors and poisoned waters. It's said to punish those who disrespect the reef or its creatures, dragging victims into the coral's crushing depths. Unlike typical predators, the phantom does not hunt for food but for fear and despair, feeding on the life force of those trapped in its shifting grasp. Scientists are baffled. Despite numerous expeditions, no physical evidence of the phantom has ever been recovered. Sonar scans show only voids where the phantom is rumored to dwell. Biologists suspect it may be a hallucination caused by toxic algae or decomposing organic matter, but the consistency of eyewitness reports across different cultures and decades defies simple explanation. The Black Reef Phantom embodies an elemental terror, something that exists at the edge of perception, where the ocean's beauty turns into a labyrinth of madness. It is a reminder that the sea holds secrets darker than any sunken ship or giant squid, secrets that warp the mind and shred the soul. To those who encounter it, the Black Reef Phantom offers no mercy, only the endless blackness that swallows all hope. The silent maw of drowned stars, deep Atlantic abyss, uncharted chasms. Far beneath the roiling waves of the Atlantic Ocean, in a section unmarked on any modern map, lies a series of deep, jagged chasms that sailors call the silent maw of drowned stars. It is said to be a place where the ocean swallows light, sound, and sanity itself, a cavernous entity so vast and alien that it is less a creature than a cosmic wound embedded in Earth's crust. The maw's name comes from the eerie phenomenon experienced by those who approach its rumored location. The sea falls completely silent. No waves crash, no marine life stirs. Compasses spin erratically, radios fill with indecipherable static, and even the most advanced sonar systems register nothing but a gaping void. Then, the maw reveals itself, not with motion or violence, but as a vast, jagged aperture tearing open the ocean floor, surrounded by swirling clouds of bioluminescent plankton that pulse in unnatural rhythms. Witnesses describe the silent maw as a yawning abyss, framed by rows of sharp, crystalline spires that resemble broken teeth, glittering like the shattered remains of fallen stars. From within this cavern, a cold, dark presence emanates, a weight pressing on the mind, instilling a creeping dread that gnaws at reason. Divers report sensations of being watched by unseen eyes and feel invisible tendrils probing their thoughts. The maw does not hunt in the conventional sense. Instead, it absorbs. Entire expeditions that have descended into its depths have vanished without a trace, leaving behind only distorted transmissions filled with terrified whispers and fractured screams. Some survivors speak of falling through endless tunnels of darkness, surrounded by twisted echoes of drowned voices and flashes of impossible geometry that defy human understanding. One chilling report came from a deep-sea probe that malfunctioned while surveying the area. Its last footage captured flickering images of enormous, pulsating orbs and writhing shapes shifting in and out of visibility, as if the maw was a gateway to a realm where natural laws dissolve. The probe's final message was a single haunting phrase repeated over and over: "They hunger beneath." Oceanographers speculate the silent maw could be a rift between dimensions, a tear in reality where ancient eldritch beings dwell beyond comprehension. It may be an ancient cosmic entity imprisoned beneath the sea, slowly feeding on the life force and sanity of those who venture too close. Psychologists who have studied survivors of maw encounters describe symptoms akin to severe dissociative states, intense paranoia, and night terrors featuring impossible shapes and ceaseless darkness. Many refuse to discuss their experiences, and those who do often end up institutionalized. The silent maw of drowned stars is not a myth for the faint-hearted. It is a living nightmare lurking in the abyss, a reminder that beneath the ocean's serene surface lies a darkness so profound it threatens to consume not just flesh, but the very essence of humanity itself. The shimmering abyssal entity. Unknown deep ocean, possibly southern hemisphere. Far beyond the reach of sunlight, in the crushing depths of the southern ocean where no human has ever set foot, lurks a presence known only through the fragmented testimonies of lost expeditions and malfunctioning unmanned probes. Known as the shimmering abyssal entity, this cryptid is less a creature and more a phenomenon of twisted light and darkness, a shimmering mirage that bends space and time around it. Sightings describe the entity as a vast, undulating mass of radiant, translucent flesh, constantly shifting colors through the spectrum. Flashes of eerie blues, sickly greens, and fiery reds. Its form seems to ripple like liquid glass, revealing glimpses of internal structures that defy biology, glowing veins coursing with phosphorescent light, orifices that open and close in impossible sequences, and tendrils that flicker in and out of existence. What makes the shimmering abyssal entity terrifying is its effect on perception. Sailors and researchers who have observed it report intense vertigo, time distortion, and overwhelming feelings of existential despair. Instruments malfunction near it, with compasses spinning wildly and cameras capturing only static or blurred, warped images. Some deep-sea drones sent near its last known coordinates returned footage corrupted with fractal-like patterns and haunting whispers. Legend holds that this entity is a living rift in reality itself, a fracture in the ocean's fabric where unknown energies leak into our world. Some ancient mariners' tales describe it as a ghost light that appears suddenly on the horizon, luring ships to their doom with hypnotic flashes and unearthly melodies. The hypnotic glow is said to draw sailors into the water, where the entity envelops them in a cocoon of shimmering flesh, dissolving their bodies and minds into its endless, pulsating mass. The few survivors who escaped encounters with the shimmering abyssal entity describe a sensation of their very souls being unraveled, memories slipping like sand through their fingers. Many suffer permanent psychological damage, becoming withdrawn and haunted by visions of impossible geometries and endless deep-sea voids. Scientists remain baffled. The Southern Ocean's depths are notoriously difficult to explore, and data from the entity's reported region is patchy and inconsistent. Some speculate it may be a massive bioluminescent organism unlike anything classified, while others warn it could be an extra-dimensional being, a creature not bound by the rules of life or death. The shimmering abyssal entity represents the ultimate boundary of human understanding, a living paradox, beautiful and horrifying, radiant and void. It is a reminder that the ocean holds secrets so alien and immense that they threaten to break the minds of those who dare to witness them. The Kal Kund Leviathan, hidden depths of India's coastal waters. Along India's vast coastline, tales persist of a monstrous, reality-bending sea entity, whispered about in coastal villages from Kerala to Odisha, the Kal Kund Leviathan. Unlike typical sea monsters, this cryptid transcends flesh and bone, embodying ancient cosmic wrath bound to the ocean's darkest trenches where no human light reaches. The name Kal Kund translates roughly to Pool of Death, a fitting title for a being said to dwell within hidden underwater sinkholes and submerged caves scattered along the Indian coastline. Locals tell of vast whirlpools opening suddenly in calm seas, dragging fishermen and entire boats into depths where time seems to shatter. It is in these forbidden waters the Leviathan stirs. Eyewitnesses describe the Kal Kund Leviathan as a colossal, shifting mass, a tangled maze of sinewy tentacles and glimmering scales that reflect an otherworldly obsidian sheen. But it is not its size or shape that terrifies. It is the way it warps reality itself. Around the Leviathan, water twists and bends like molten glass, colors bleed beyond natural spectrum, and gravity seems uncertain. Fishermen unlucky enough to glimpse the creature report overwhelming feelings of vertigo, disorientation, and an ancient dread clawing at their minds. Many lose all sense of time. Some claim to have seen echoes of lost souls trapped within the Leviathan's form, faces contorted in silent screams, begging for release from eternal drowning. Local legend ties the Leviathan to ancient curses cast by long-forgotten sages, punishment for humanity's hubris in disrespecting the sacred seas. Temples near the coast hold faded murals depicting a massive sea beast entwined with serpents and fire, its presence a boundary between the mortal world and the abyss. Modern science has yet to verify the Leviathan, but inexplicable disappearances and strange sonar readings in India's coastal waters fuel fear and speculation. Diving expeditions sent to investigate often return with broken equipment and tales of impossible pressures and disorienting light phenomena. The Kal Kund Leviathan doesn't hunt in traditional ways. It feeds on reality, consuming not just flesh but the very essence of time and memory, leaving victims as hollow shadows trapped beneath the waves. To encounter the Leviathan is to face the ocean's darkest secret, that beneath the familiar tides lies an ancient cosmic horror, patient and eternal, waiting silently in the dark, ready to swallow all who dare trespass. The blackened spiral, unknown deep ocean vortex, global.
Hidden deep beneath the oceans lies a phenomenon so alien it blurs the line between creature and cosmic anomaly. Sailors and deep-sea explorers whisper of the blackened spiral, a swirling, impossible vortex of water and darkness that twists endlessly downward into the abyss, where time fractures and the fabric of reality tears. Unlike any natural whirlpool, the blackened spiral emits no noise, but an overwhelming, suffocating silence that seems to seep into the minds of those nearby. Its waters shimmer with an unnatural blackness that absorbs light, swallowing everything in its path. Ships, submarines, even sound waves, vanishing them without a trace. Witnesses describe glimpsing a colossal serpentine entity coiling inside the vortex, a creature whose scales flicker like liquid shadow, forming endless spirals that never repeat. Its eyes are endless pits of nothingness, and its maw is a fractal labyrinth of teeth that seem to rearrange themselves endlessly, impossible to map or escape. When near the spiral, compasses spin madly, and instruments break down, and those who peer into its depths report visions of warped dimensions, impossible geometry, endless corridors lined with writhing tendrils, and whispers of forgotten languages that drive listeners mad. One research submersible sent to explore the vortex lost contact after sending garbled footage of shifting shapes and screaming echoes. The few survivors from nearby vessels describe feeling their bodies distort, stretching, compressing, and fading, as if the spiral consumed their very essence. The blackened spiral isn't just a monster. It is a tear in reality itself, an eldritch wound in the ocean floor where ancient cosmic forces seep into our world. It is patient, waiting silently for the curious, the foolish, or the damned to drift too close. And then it drags them into the infinite spiral of oblivion. Encountering the blackened spiral is to face the true abyss, a darkness so profound it erases all hope, memory, and identity. To fall into its coils is to be lost forever, swallowed by an eternal nightmare swirling beneath the waves. As we surface from the darkest depths of this iceberg, remember, the oceans still hold secrets far beyond our understanding. Shadows that move just beyond the reach of light, ancient beings that defy reason, and horrors that lurk in the silence beneath the waves. Whether legend or reality, these cryptids remind us that some mysteries are meant to remain buried in the abyss. So next time you gaze out at the endless ocean, beware, because what's beneath might be watching, waiting, and hungry.
Thanks for diving deep with us. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and keep your eyes on the surface.